Welcome to episode 23 of the Metamagix Monster Manual and another continuation of the Dead by Daylight chapter. In today's episode, we are going to cover how I think you should run the Deathslinger in DnD 5e. Now, the Deathslinger's stat block is designed around the concept of single target damage and the use of ranged weapons. So with that in mind, let's just jump right into it. As a reminder, you can find a link to the stat block in the description below. It'll take you to my Twitter or my Discord, where you can find a downloadable picture for free. So this is the Deathslinger, and to begin, he is considered a large humanoid with the chaotic evil tag, same as all the other killers. He has an armor class of 13, 125 hit points, and has a movement speed of 35 feet. For the stat array, there is nothing really special here other than a slightly higher than normal constitution. Everything else is around 10 through 14. For the damage immunities, he is immune to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical attacks, but could be turned down to just a resistance if your party is low on magic. Has a passive perception of 12, speaks 0 languages, and has a challenge rating of 7. Now we can jump into some gameplay and talk about his unique perks, actions, and abilities. So to begin, we're going to start with the Deathslinger's perks, and we're going to start off with Gearhead. The Deathslinger has advantage on all intelligence checks and saving throws and cannot misfire when operating firearms, following the firearms rule of 5e with the misfire mechanic, as well as his own unique weapon. Next up, we have Dead Man's Switch. At the start of the encounter, the Deathslinger becomes obsessed with one player. After reducing the obsession to 0 hit points, Dead Man's Switch activates. For the next minute, all creatures other than the obsession cannot be healed by any means until the obsession is healed above 0 hit points. This effect deactivates if the obsession dies. Also, that should be noted for every single obsession perk that I've gone over in previous videos, is the effect, the obsession perk mechanic, whichever it might be, automatically deactivates if the obsession dies, fails 3 death saves. It should probably have been noted in previous videos. I'll probably have to rewrite that in some errata later on. Finally, we have Hex Retribution. At the start of the encounter, a small totem of bones is placed at a location within 60 feet of the Deathslinger at a location of the DM's choosing. This hex is placed on that totem and remains as long as the totem is not destroyed. A creature can use an action to destroy the totem. A DC 14 Wisdom Perception check within 30 feet of the totem is required to see it. Follows the hex mechanic from previous videos. When a creature cleanses the hex totem, all players become blinded until the end of the Deathslinger's next turn. So this is a trapped hex totem. The characters ideally by this point will be familiar with the hex mechanic and will ideally want to cleanse this. Little do they know it's trapped. So let's talk about his unique actions, starting off with his Redeemer. It is a ranged weapon attack, +5 to hit, range 30 feet, 1 target, and deals 1d10 plus 2 piercing damage. On a successful hit, any creature of medium size or smaller becomes grappled, and the Deathslinger may reel them in and make a melee weapon attack as part of the same action. After firing, the Redeemer can be reloaded with a bonus action. Spearing a creature with the Redeemer applies a bleed effect, dealing 1d4 damage at the start of each of their turns for 1 minute. A creature can use an action to mend the wound. So what does the melee weapon attack after getting speared with the Redeemer look like? Well, it is a melee weapon attack, +5 to hit, reach 5 feet, and deals 1d10 plus 2 piercing damage, same as the spear from the Redeemer, the ranged attack. So ideally, what you can do with this is reload your gun if it's not already loaded. You spear somebody with the Redeemer, and then you can make 2 different melee weapon attack, or 2 different attacks with the Redeemer spear and then the Redeemer bayonet. How I think you should run this killer is to use your Redeemer range attack very liberally. Try to attack targets that are not trying to get in the front line so you can focus on them to ideally take those out, or try to take out the obsession so that no healing can be had for the rest of your party, and creatures will have to use their turns to heal the obsession and not attack you. But regardless, guys, that is how I think you should run the Deathslinger in DnD 5e. If you guys enjoyed this stat block and enjoyed this video, be sure to leave it a like. Subscribe if you guys haven't. We have one more monster in this chapter before we conclude this chapter of the Metamagix Monster Manual, before we move on to some other review videos for the DM's Guild and other topics. So stay tuned for all of that, guys. Until next time, have fun, stay safe, and as always, happy gaming.